Good morning. Welcome back to Planet Doug, the Penang series. And I feel like I'm finally settling into a groove here in Penang. My arrival was a little bit chaotic. My first couple of days, I was doing a few unusual things for me, and I never really settled into what I think of as my groove. But I think I'm there now. And it's 9 o'clock in the morning, Monday morning. And my plan for today is to do a bit of exploring. And in particular, I'm going to visit the Kek Lok Si Temple. This is one of the main attractions here in Penang. The Kek Lok Si Temple has a bit of a history. It's about 100 years old, I think. And depending on which website you read, it is either the largest Buddhist temple in the world or the largest Buddhist temple in Southeast Asia, or perhaps the largest in Malaysia. Anyway, it is quite large. I don't really know how to pronounce the name of the founder, but if I'm just going to read it as English words, he is the Venerable Monk Bao Lin. And interestingly, I don't think he was from Malaysia, because according to the history, he came to Penang in 1885, and he was here on sort of a fundraising trip, raising money for a monastery, either an existing one or one he wanted to build back in China. So perhaps he was from China. But he was very impressed with the monks and their dedication to Buddhism here in Penang, and he decided to stay, and he ended up becoming the head monk. I think that's called the abbot of a Buddhist temple here in Georgetown. But to be honest, I don't know if it was actually called Georgetown back in 1885. I don't know what the names were here. So he settled down in Penang, and then he noticed a set of beautiful hills in, again, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but maybe Air Itam. Air Itam, it's sort of a district up in the hills just outside of Penang, or out of Georgetown itself. And he called these hills Crane Hills because the way the valley looks, situated in these hills, like in the valley system, it looked like a large crane spreading its wings. And he decided that the feng shui at Crane Hill was perfect for a Buddhist temple. And I think his original idea was more for a Buddhist retreat center, a teaching center. And I believe it performs that role up until today. I believe Kek Lok means something like supreme joy in English, and Si means temple. So a rough translation into English, you would call this temple the temple of supreme joy, sort of a paradise temple, heavenly temple, something like that. So that's a brief outline of the temple itself. It has a lot of interesting attractions that I guess I'll talk about when I get there. But to get there, I've already gone on a bit of a journey to figure that out, because my original idea was just to ride on my borrowed Brompton folding bicycle. It seemed an ideal opportunity to ride through Penang. It's about 7 kilometers away from where I am, from my Airbnb. But then I don't really have a place to store this bicycle. It's designed, to take it somewhere, then you fold it up and take it inside, take it inside the coffee shop, inside your home, inside your office, something like that. But if I ride this bicycle up to this temple, I don't know if there's going to be a place where I can keep it. Plus, at a temple, you really should wear long pants. So I was picturing myself riding 7 kilometers there, perhaps steeply uphill, in long pants, being very hot and tired when I got there. and then finding out that there was nowhere to put my bicycle safely. So I changed my mind about that, and I thought about walking there. It's only 7 kilometers, why not? So I was going to walk there. I thought that would be kind of entertaining. But again, I considered all the walking I would likely want to do at the temple itself. So there's also the option of a taxi, and I'm not that great with taxis in general. And I finally settled on taking a bus. And that's why I'm here. You'll notice that across the street from me is quite a tall tower. And that is a very well-known building here, the tallest building on Penang. I think at one time it was the tallest building in Malaysia when it was originally built, and that is Comtar, the Comtar Tower. And I want to visit that tower as well at some point, like make a day of it, because it's a fascinating place, has an incredible history. If you think of it in terms of like urban design and urban planning, and I think it was made as part of an overall project to revitalize this area of Georgetown. And as anyone knows, that kind of urban redevelopment and planning is incredibly difficult to do. Things can go wrong, and I think this building, lots of things went wrong and lots of things went right, but in the end, it has quite a fascinating history all in its own. But for me today, it's important because it has kind of a bus station on the inside, and I'm looking for bus 203. And I understood that bus 203 went along this road. Unfortunately, it's one of those Penang one-way roads, so even if 203 comes here, it's going to be going in the wrong direction. So now I have to figure out where I get to 203. So I'm off on a little bit of a journey now to find my bus. There is a bus stop right here for Rapid Penang, but it doesn't appear to list any of the buses that actually stop here. So that makes things a little bit challenging. Looks like there was some information here, but it's all been worn out and scratched out, and it's not legible anymore. Anyway, I think I'm going to go inside Comtar. There's sort of a bus area in there, and maybe 203 stops inside their bus station. So here we go, a typical Planet Doug journey. Off to a good start. Yeah, I'm at the base of Comtar here, and they've developed, I think they added 3 floors to the top of the building, and there's like an outdoor rope walk, a glass bridge, all kinds of like touristy things up there. They call it the top, and I think you have to pay to go up there, of course, and see views of Penang. So if I end up staying here long enough, I'll try to go up to the top. But yeah, I'm confused about the bus already, because as I said, I looked up the route online and it shows it going up and down that street, but it can't go up and down. It can only go down. It's a one-way street. So I don't know how to get bus 203 heading in the other direction. It begins its route down by the jetty. Most buses do. That's the beginning and the end of the route. So I could go all the way down to the jetty, and I know I could get it there. But this is the bus exchange kind of terminal underneath Comtar right here. And maybe I can get 203 from inside here. The signs keep pointing me in this direction, but that's just scooter parking. Keep saying a bus exchange over there, but I do see a bus stop over here. So maybe there's a sign here to indicate what buses come here. I might end up just walking all the way to the jetty. I'm all about doing the simplest thing. All right. So this is just for number 9, a shuttle bus of some kind. I see 202 ahead of me, but I don't know if I can use 202. And there is an information counter here, so maybe I'll try that. Who knew I could be so smart? At the info counter, I should have recorded that, but my camera wasn't rolling. But it's one of these plexiglass barriers again that always defeat me when it comes to communicating. But they had a really nice speakers intercom system. So, and the man in there spoke very good English, of course. We are in Malaysia. And he told me that here is the bus exchange with all the pigeons. And my bus 203 stops here at platform 2. So everything's coming up Planet Doug today. Oh, I saw my bus listed there for a second on the sign, but it just disappeared. We'll wait for a moment for it to come back. There we are, bus 201, 202, and 203, Air Itam. And I think Air means water, so I wonder what Itam means, water view or something, I don't know. So I have to wait here for bus 203, and he said it would cost 2 ringgit, and you pay on the bus. There's a status column here as well. 202 is 8 minutes away, but it doesn't say anything about 203. So anyway, I'll just take a seat. Oh, Air Itam is waiting at the starting hub. So I guess the next bus is down at the jetty. All right. Now that's a great start to a day, isn't it? To actually begin the day with a little bit of a success. And when it comes to public transportation, I'm generally a complete and utter failure. So that's nice. And I don't know what is going on here, but we have some some kittens. We're very interested in the pigeons, of course. Oh, you poor guys. This one has looks like eye infections, both of them. They don't look to be in very good shape. But hopefully someone is looking after them to an extent. I should know better than to do a close inspection of animals. So it never really works out that well. You always end up feeling bad afterwards. You always want to snatch them up and take care of them and bring them to a vet immediately or something like that. Bus stations of any kind are always interesting as a slice of humanity, slice of a particular style of humanity, I guess. They can be pretty rough places. Looks like this one is open all night long. It's open, you know, they can't close the gates, so my guess is that quite a few people sleep in here at night. The man with the 2 kittens over there, he might actually be living in the train station or bus station. And it looks like they're not messing around when it comes to keeping people from sleeping on the benches. They kind of bolted in place these metal bars to make it uncomfortable. You can't sleep on them. I can see another message board a little bit down the way, and it says my bus is 4 minutes away. And I think a key feature of the buses here, the rapid Penang system, is that they don't provide any change at all. So whatever bills you give them, that's your fare. You can't give them a 20 ringgit note and expect to get change or anything like that. They probably have some kind of a pass system. You can buy a day pass or tokens, but I don't know about that. I've always just paid in cash on the buses here. Every time I take a bus anywhere in the world, I always end up thinking about the book Confederacy of Dunces, because it's one of my favorite books of all time. And the hero of that story talked a lot about one big adventure of his life. I mean, he was it's set in New Orleans, and this man is not exactly socially adept, you know, a bit of an awkward fellow, and he has never really left home. He's just lived where he's lived his entire life. But one time, for some crazy reason, he took a Greyhound bus to another city, and he's been dining out on the story of that bus, the horrors of that bus for him for the rest of his life. So every time I take a bus, I end up thinking about that man and how that one bus ride haunted him for the rest of his life. He never ever got over it. And it wasn't really that, it was a fine, normal bus ride, really, just a normal Greyhound in the United States. So I can only imagine what he would think of a bus exchange like this. He would never stop talking about it. Okay, I'm taking 203. Bus 203. I think for them 201. Yeah, go over there. Yeah. Right, over there. Yep. A little bit, yeah. It's okay. Right on time. 203 to Air Itam. Who's here? Nice and empty. Just one? Kekloksi. Thank you. So he needed to know how far I was going to go, and I told him I was very proud of myself. I managed to come up with the name Kekloksi in the heat of the moment. I was like, what is it? What is it? And then I remembered. And then he said it would be 2 ringgit. It's funny, my ability is so strong. I keep talking about how I find the worst possible seat all the time. And the seat I just tried to sit in, I couldn't get in there. And it turns out it's because it's right over the wheel. The wheel well is sticking up in between the seats, so I couldn't get my feet in there. So my instinct was to sit in the worst seat again. But I found a better one. Yeah, speaking of Confederacy of Dunces and sort of the rough side of bus stations in general, when I was sitting there, a man came up to talk to me, and I didn't understand what he was saying. He was quite insistent. I couldn't make out what he was saying, and I tried to communicate with him a little bit. But then another man sitting on the bench near me, he shouted at this man and kind of told him to go away and leave me alone. And then the man did leave, and the man who told him to go indicated to me that the man was not well. He was mentally not well, so he didn't want him bothering a foreigner like me. And then actually the man who was sent away, he eventually came back, and then he gave me some information, because I guess he was just trying to be helpful. He wrote out some numbers on the palm of his hand, as if he was telling me about this bus and how long it's going to take and where it goes. And so I let him help me out, and then he went on his way. I wish I had an open window, of course. Put the camera outside. We're just passing a lot of interesting sites along the way. Temples, markets, restaurants, street sellers. can already feel that I'm going to be staying here longer than the 1 week I planned. I already need a lot more time than that, I'm pretty sure. So I'll probably extend my stay by another week. My first week is already almost up. Bus came to a stop right beside a Joe's Coconut, Penang's most famous one-stop coconut station. They have all kinds of intriguing drinks there. Coconut shake with bubbles, an avocado coconut shake. But as I was talking about the other day at the New World Park, the drinks cost more than a full meal, so that shake I was looking at, the Dragon coconut shake, is 10 ringgit, and that's more than you would pay for a substantial meal at one of the food courts. So something to think about. And when I was at the bus station, 2 men came up to me to ask me questions about the bus. They were also foreigners. The man, he told me where he was from, but now I've forgotten. But somewhere, I think in Europe, Eastern Europe, was his home country. He and his friend were traveling all over the world, and of course I was interested in his camera. He had a very large Sony full-frame camera with a really nice, expensive full-frame lens on it, and we were chatting about that a little bit. And he said that he takes pictures, he does not shoot video, and I congratulated him for that choice. It's a lot easier to snap some pictures along your way compared to trying to shoot video. And that Sony would be way too heavy to shoot video with anyway, unless you're shooting B-roll or something like that. But they were heading in the same direction as me. We probably could have gotten on the same bus. I ended up selecting 203, but I think 201 goes to Penang Hill, and Penang Hill is essentially the same area as the Kek Lok Si temple. But yeah, I think that both buses follow roughly a parallel course. There's a 201 right ahead of me. Those two guys might be on 201 right up there. I'm right behind them on 203. And I figured that while we're trundling along on the bus, I can talk a little bit more about the temple, take advantage of the time. We're actually just about to pass by quite an elegant mosque. It's quite an interesting tower there, so I'll take a look at that as we go by. But I mentioned that the Kek Lok Si temple construction began in 1890, and I think main construction was completed by 1905. However, the centerpiece of the temple is a 7-story pagoda called, I believe, Ban Po Par, which translates as the pagoda of 10,000 Buddhas. That structure wasn't completed until 1930. So I think most people date the beginning and the ending of construction from 1890 to all the way until 1930, when the pagoda of 10,000 Buddhas was finished. And these 10,000 Buddha images are made of alabaster and bronze. The tower, 7 stories high, as I said. It's about 30 meters, I think. Oh, this is the Masjid Negeri. It's the name of the mosque that we're passing. Looks quite large. It's probably one of the main mosques of Penang, I would think. It's very interesting, very beautiful, but a little bit of a retro style, you know, kind of a classic style or vintage. Anyway, this 7-story pagoda is also interesting because it has 3 sections, and each section has a different architectural style. The octagonal base was built with a Chinese architecture. The middle tier is based on Thai architecture, and then the crown, the very top of the pagoda, is Burmese in style. And I think you see a lot of elements at this temple that combine styles and culture from many different countries, because at this temple they try to blend and put together different types of Buddhism. So like Theravada Buddhism, Mahayana Buddhism, they're all sort of living harmoniously together at this one temple, because the founder, his vision for this place was as a, to be a pilgrimage site for Buddhists from all around the world, and as a learning center for all types of Buddhism. I have to move over to the other side of the bus, because I think we're getting views of Penang Hill over there. I suppose I could go to Penang Hill and this temple on the same day. We'll see. I'm pretty happy just going to one location, and I could do a separate trip if I want to go up to Penang Hill itself. The final note about this pagoda, the pagoda of 10,000 Buddhas, is that it was built during the reign of King Rama VI. So the temple is associated with his name and sort of dedicated to him, and he was part of the ceremony installing the foundation stone for the pagoda. So it's also known as the Rama Pagoda, or Rama VI Pagoda. That's another name for it. Things are starting to get interesting on this trip. The bus just went through a dense urban area there, and now we've turned in a different direction, and we're moving parallel to the base of the hill. And just there on the left, I'm getting my first glimpses of the temple. And the first thing I noticed, of course, is this very large structure. Well, we can't see it now, but this is something that was, I think construction was completed in 2002, and it is the tallest Guanyin statue in the world, bronze statue, in fact. And Guanyin, of course, is the goddess of mercy, and I believe she's also the patron saint of fishermen and sailors, because I would see Guanyin a lot in Taiwan, in the coastal fishing villages, a lot of statues and shrines dedicated to Guanyin. But this statue, as I said, is the tallest in the world, and it is covered by what do you call it, a kind of a roof structure, which towers like 200 feet, I think. So it's very high, much higher than the statue itself. So it's a pretty impressive structure, and it should be coming into view just now as we get past the trees. That's it, up on the left. And I read something quite interesting about this statue and the tower, that they weren't allowed to build it to a certain height, any higher than this, because then the shadow would fall onto the state mosque of Penang. So in order to keep the shadow from falling onto the mosque, they had to set it to this height and not higher than this. So I'm not quite sure where I'm supposed to get off the bus, but I don't think it matters much. Anywhere from here, I'd be able to walk up there pretty easily. And I'm off the bus. There it goes. Rapid Penang 203. And when you look to my right, there it is. So clearly, if this isn't the right bus stop, it's as good as you're going to get. The entire temple complex is spread out right in front of me there. Wow, it's so interesting to see everything that I was reading about. There's the 7-story pagoda. You can clearly see the Chinese architecture in the octagonal base, the Thai style in the mid-tier, and then the Burmese crown. Very interesting. And then that very large statue of Guanyin with even larger structure on built around and on top of her. And I believe there is a type of funicular train that takes you from ground level up to the temple itself. But I'm not sure if you have to take the train or whether it's a steep climb or anything like that. We'll see. I'm in the parking lot at the very base of the temple, and there's a lot of visitors ahead of me. Just came in on a tour bus, and they appear to be walking up the road. And over here on my left, I was just spotting the train. And I don't know where it starts from, but I'm going to head in this direction and take a look at it, even if I don't take it to the top. And there is something else here I'm quite interested in. There is a tortoise pond. Online, I saw this pond called the Tortoise Liberation Pond. And that's kind of what caught my eye, because I wondered what these tortoises had been liberated from, or what they were hoping to be liberated from. This is quite an interesting spot right here. And it's a large boulder to have come rolling down the hill. Beautiful spot. Oh, I think I kind of get the idea now. Ah, thank you. There's a sign there that says, strictly no liberation of tortoises into the pond. So I guess they don't want you to bring your own tortoises here and sort of set them free. They have enough tortoises of their own. There are a lot of tortoises, and there's some big ones too. I've seen a couple of huge shells down there, more, lower down under the water. To maintain the cleanliness and hygienic of the pond, strictly no outside food to feed the tortoises. So you're not supposed to just toss any kind of random food in there. Perhaps they sell food here that you can feed them if you want. Wow, look at this. This is awesome. Oh my goodness. Ho, 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 ho. Wow. Talk about tortoises. I'm surprised that they were so frightened at my appearance. You think they'd be really accustomed to people looking at them and pointing cameras at them. Or maybe they all dove into the water because they thought food was forthcoming. Sorry, buddies. I disturbed their sunbathing. Wow. Just this pond is worth the trip to come out here. More than worth it. There's even an arched pathway here leading right over the pond. I can safely say that I have never in my life seen so many tortoises at once. And when I first showed up on that other side there where they were all piled up on the rocks, that was easily the largest collection of tortoises on rocks I've ever seen. They almost had an alien creature vibe to them. It's quite something. And they're all, when they're resting on the rocks, look at that. They're or they were, stretching their necks up towards the sun, as if, stretching out their necks as far as possible. I wonder why. And apparently, there is a very large tortoise statue here, but it's perhaps being repaired. It's covered up right now. Well, you can't argue with the beauty of the location. Nestled in amongst these hills, Crane Hill, as the venerable monk named them. And he approved of the feng shui. There's the funicular train heading uphill. I think I am going to take the train just for the experience. Why not? Huh. Looks like quite a recent design, very modern looking, very new. Very stately pace too. You could pretty much walk at the same pace. Look at that. It drags its own chain behind it as it goes up. That's very cool. I'm curious what this train costs. I'll find out in a minute. Station 1. Inclined lift station. Notice, tickets sold are not refundable, either in whole or in part. Oh, and according to this, there are 4 stations. Station 1, I'm here. Station 2, 3, and 4, Guanyin statue. Children, adult, 16 ringgit. No, it's a little bit on the pricey side, to be honest. Yeah, for that price, to be honest, I think I'm going to give it a miss. I'm relatively young and healthy, young at heart anyway, and healthy in spirit, if not in body. And I would rather take that 16 ringgit and spend it on a really nice meal after I go back into Penang. So, gonna have to rely on my feet to carry me to the top. Yeah, if I had ridden the Brompton up here, could have made it. I mean, it's a climb. It goes uphill the entire time, pretty much, from Georgetown to here. But it wasn't that steep. But once here, I'm not sure where I could have left the bike, in what kind of a secure place I could have left it. That's a very familiar sight for me at Buddhist temples. You tend to think of them as being tranquil places for a meditative retreat. And yet nearly every Buddhist temple I've ever visited doubles as a construction site, because they're always adding to it. They're always raising money to add a new building, a new shrine, new facility. So the temples never really get finished. They're always under construction in part, Oh, there you go. I was so busy taking in my surroundings that I was blocking all the traffic. So there is some kind of a road going to the top they can drive along and pull in here. But just as I was talking about all the construction, like this whole building is brand new as well, or being renovated, something like that. But then I saw this sign. I read the whole thing, and it basically says they have no insurance. And a temple like this, high on the hills, and again, with all this construction, can be tricky to navigate. And if you trip and fall and hurt yourself, well, it is on you. They have no insurance, and you can sue them all you want for damages and injury, but you're not going to get anything. So you are responsible for your own risk and safety. So take that under advisement. There's a cyclist. He's got the legs of a cyclist. And he had the bike that could make it up this hill. I don't think my Brompton is designed, or my borrowed Brompton is designed for this kind of incline. You would be walking it up here. I'm not sure if I was able to enter the temple through that under construction building or not, but this doesn't feel like it's safe for pedestrians either. But as long as I'm going up, I know I'm heading in the right direction. Breathing a bit heavy, and I've arrived at the entrance to the Guanyin statue site. Ah, well, that's the pagoda as well. So how does this work? My path along the road has been winding and turning and snaking along, and I've met back up with the train, walking right underneath the train tracks right now. And this is my first view of the statue of Guanyin itself. Yeah, very nice, very attractive. And I read something online about a wall that had an entire epic poem carved into it, and I think that's what this is. I think that is a poem carved into the stone. The statue, I just looked it up, is 36.57 meters high, or 120 feet. And the roof structure, I think, is 200 feet from base to the very top. I like how it comes into view as you slowly get to the top. Impressive. It's an interesting design choice when you think about it, because the statue of Guanyin is the centerpiece, and it's a pretty impressive statue. As I said, it is the tallest Guanyin statue in the world, and yet it's kind of dwarfed by the structure around it. My eyes are drawn to the pillars much more than to the statue. There appears to be a base around the middle of it, but the bottom of the stairs heading up there is blocked off. So I'm guessing that it's under construction up there. Yeah, there's a view of the statue. As you can tell, the ceiling over top, the roof structure, is kind of overshadowing Guanyin. Just coming around to the front, and again, keeping with the construction theme, you always find this too. There's always just piles of tiles, roof tiles, construction material, all waiting to be used somewhere. There's Guanyin. Man, that building has a sense of weight to it. It just looks and feels heavy when I look at it. I just can't imagine how much it weighs. It just feels like the whole thing is going to crush those pillars and the whole thing come down. The maintenance, like painting it and maintaining the roof on the very top, probably where these tiles go. I can't imagine what a job that is. I guess it's done through the stairs. I saw a set of metal stairs going up one of the pillars, and I assume there's an opening at the top, kind of a set of rooms up there or narrow passageways, and they can crawl through a door, and that would take them onto the roof so as to repair the tiles up there. Can you imagine doing that? Ay, ay, ay. It would require workers who are not afraid of heights. And I can't help but always think about how places are organized. And I had no idea that there was a parking lot up here. So visitors lucky enough to have a car, yeah, they wouldn't have to do all that sweaty hiking I did. You just ride your car, drive it all the way up here and park. But if you're not familiar with this place, you wouldn't even know that. Even if I drove a car here, I would have parked it down in the parking lot at the bottom, assuming that was the main parking lot, and then I would have walked up here. It never would have occurred to me that there would be a parking lot right at the temple. And you pay 3 ringgit to come in here with a car, but it's free if you walk in like I did. And the bonus with any temple on a hill is, of course, the view you get once you get up here. Nice. The monk who came here in 1895 and decided that this hill looked like a crane with its wings outspread. I guess he had a good imagination, because he would not have had a drone to fly up and look at it from up in the air. I'm not sure where he would have seen the shape of a crane, but I guess. Oh yeah, actually I can kind of see it if you think of each hillside on the left and the right, almost like arms coming around and encircling the valley. Those would be the wings of the crane curled around to the front. It makes me think of the martial arts master crane in Kung Fu Panda, because it always had its wings curled around like that in a fighting position. Yeah, that's probably what it is. Okay, I can buy it. It definitely, you could call this Crane Hill. But is this also Penang Hill? Or is Penang Hill different from Crane Hill? Because then Penang Hill would have to be on the other side of this left wing of the crane. Beautiful view. Oh yeah, there's Kamtar Tower. I'm a little bit disoriented though, in terms of what is where. I think that's Kamtar. Or maybe it's not, because that feels like I'm going to have to look at Google Maps to get oriented. I'm not quite sure where I am. Huh. I also read that this temple is a spectacular place to visit at Chinese New Year. They put up thousands of lanterns everywhere, all over this hill, all over the structures. And from what I've seen online, it is quite the sight. Well worth seeing at that time, though of course it'd be very busy. I also read some criticism of this temple online, people saying that it was highly commercialized with souvenir stalls and that, kind of asking for money all the time. I don't get that impression at all. Feels like a very beautiful spot in the hills, and nothing more, nothing less. It does not have a commercial feeling to me at all. I mean, every temple has to raise money in order to maintain places, of this size. That's just expected, but here comes the train. This pond is interesting from an English language point of view, because their sign here is more accurate. It reads, "Please do not release fish in this pond," which is a more natural way of saying that in English. They don't want you to bring your aquarium fish or your pond fish from home and set them free in here, to release them into this pond, because that would cause overcrowding. And that's what they wanted to say at the tortoise pond, but they translated the Chinese or the Malay into "do not liberate the tortoises." And in my mind, that has the exact opposite meaning, because when you liberate someone, it would feel like you're grabbing one of their tortoises and running away with it, as if it's being held prisoner there, and you are liberating it from where it is now. So, kind of makes me smile. Tortoise Liberation Pond. It also made me think that maybe the tortoises were some sort of a revolutionary group, and they're trying to separate and liberate their country. The Tortoise Liberation Army. I've been up here at the very top at the Guanyin statue for quite a while, just heading down now. I ran into a young woman from Vietnam up here, and she's traveling on her own. And I guess she was busy scanning the crowd of visitors, looking for someone else who might be on their own, and picked me out of the crowd as an obvious candidate. And she asked me that since I was here by myself, would I mind being her cameraman for a little bit? So she hijacked me to walk around with her for a while, and she posed for selfies in a whole bunch of places. Yeah, she actually knew a fair bit about photography, which was interesting. She was guiding me to exactly the right place to stand, so that the pictures weren't backlit and had the light in the right spot and the sky and the composition just right. She was very particular, so she was lucky to come across me, because I am equally particular, I guess. But I think she wanted me to go all the way down through the whole temple complex with her and continue to take pictures for her. But I wasn't done with my exploration at the top. I often go through a place with video one time, and then I'll put the video camera away, and then I'll walk through the entire place, a complete second time, just taking pictures. Yeah, I often do things like that. I hang out for a long time. So I had to say goodbye to her, and she must be down on the hill somewhere. But I'm not sure how I get from here to the other main attraction, the 7-story pagoda, because I walked the entire way up, but I didn't see any natural way to get there. But there must be a little pathway or something. I'll find it eventually. Yeah, the woman from Vietnam came here with a Grab. So she hired a Grab, and the Grab driver knew, the place. He was very familiar with it, so he automatically drove her all the way to the top and dropped her off there. And then now she can walk down. Pretty much everyone did that. Everyone I spoke to up there had started at the top and were working their way down. So none of them had heard about the Tortoise Liberation Pond yet, or the Tortoise Liberation Army. So I gave them a heads up to keep an eye open for the tortoises. Because still, see, like one of the wonders of the world, the tallest Guanyin statue in the world, and I'm actually all about the tortoises. That's been the highlight of this place for me. Go figure. So I've just reached the area where this pagoda is located, and I guess I have to go into that parking lot that I passed earlier where all that construction was going on. I guess that's where it's located. It just seemed like that whole area was closed to visitors, but I guess not. So there's either a door in this building on my right, or I have to go through that construction site to get there. Or you have to take the elevator. Maybe that's the trick. You have no choice but to take the elevator. Here's an open door. I don't know if I'm supposed to be in here. Oh, thought maybe it would allow me to get to the pagoda. But so far, no. Huh, I wonder if you can get to the pagoda at all. The whole thing seems to, it has scaffolding around it, a ton of construction material. So maybe this is as close as you can get to it. Let me walk along the balcony so the sun isn't shining directly into my eyes. Yeah, this is definitely fitting in with my theme of construction at Buddhist temples. The whole base is under construction, being repainted, it looks like. So yeah, the base is definitely Chinese in style, and then Thai and Burmese way up at the very top. Oh, but I see some visitors down there, some tourists, so they got down there somehow. I think they came from the elevator, or what I keep calling an elevator. I was starting to think that I was the only walker in the bunch, but here's some more people walking all the way up the hill. I wonder if they know what they're in for. They have not yet begun to climb. And there's one other thing about this temple that I haven't mentioned yet that I read, and that is they have a very large hydraulically operated bell, a bell that is driven by hydraulics. That's what I read anyway, and I haven't seen anything like that yet, so if I hear a bell being rung, I'll assume that's the hydraulic bell. So yeah, this is where I was before, where I was blocking traffic, and I saw all the construction. Well, things are starting to make sense now. I did come up into this parking area that was all basically a construction site, and this is the entrance to the pagoda. Oh yeah, people are up there. So you basically have to, if you're coming from the top, you have to walk all the way down past it to the entrance, and then walk back up to the pagoda itself. And I guess trying to figure out how you go in, because there's stairs right over there, but there's a sign on there saying no entrance. And someone was pointing a direction for me, so I think you might have to go this way. I don't think I'm going to go in, but this is the prayer hall for this pagoda. And there's the pagoda kitty taking a nap. How do I go anywhere? Oh, silly. How do I get anywhere without help? The stairs are over here. Okay, thanks. And I like the sign at the entrance to the prayer hall. It was written in Chinese, obviously, and then translated into English. And it was not done by a native speaker of English, of course. And it, in English, I think it said, "Do not visit hubbub of civilization." So that was kind of funny. So basically saying, please be be respectful and don't make a lot of noise or have loud conversations. But they said, do not visit hubbub of civilization. Yeah, this whole temple complex is a bit of a maze, actually. It's not entirely obvious when you come here as a casual visitor how you go from one spot to another. Yeah, even to get to this pagoda, you have to follow this winding trail of stairways and tunnels. I think I can get from here over to there, but man, that's a beautiful view from here. That's really nice. I'm still finding my way. I want to go in that direction, but you can't go in that direction. You have to go in this direction first. Okay. I guess people are heading in that direction. What's over here? Oh, nice mural on the wall. And all the reading I did about this place, no one really mentioned the amount of walking and climbing you'd have to do to, fully explore this place. Which is fine with me, of course. I'm okay with all this walking, but I can see a lot of retirees and elderly people and, Buddhist pilgrims coming from other countries. They're often quite elderly, and I think they would have a bit of a rough time navigating this place. It's probably why they have all those signs everywhere. I just saw another one saying that they have no insurance. So if you trip and fall, you're on your own. Because they can't be responsible for people clambering around this place. Wow, nice view. Yeah, from here you can see all the way up to the Guanyin statue. And then there's this building here, but I don't really know what it is. There's a lot more to see here than I expected. I haven't heard the hydraulic bell yet. I haven't heard, like I said, like a loud bell being rung. Hey, kitty. I'm getting higher, but I'm still not any closer to that pagoda. Well, my typical style of visiting places is continuing, meaning I don't know where to go. There's actually the Guanyin statue up there. I was trying to make my way through this building to get to the pagoda because I think that's what everybody was doing, but it's just dead ends. And I don't know how to get to this pagoda. I don't even know where it is anymore. Must be over here somewhere, but I think I might have to backtrack the entire way and then climb up those stairs. But as I said, the stairs that I saw had a big sign on it saying no entry. So I didn't go that way. So yeah, I'm just going to backtrack all the way to the beginning. Where is it? It's quite the maze, this place. All right. Which way to go? Oh, I think I go this way. All right, at least I can see the pagoda again. There it is over there. But I could not get to it, no matter how hard I tried in that direction. Well, one more try. I don't know if this will get me there either. But these are the stairs I saw at the very beginning, and there's the no entry sign that I obeyed, but I have no choice but to disobey it now. This may or may not get me to the pagoda. When I was over there, I was leaving the prayer hall area, I ran into the woman from Vietnam again. She was still here, and she said she wasn't able to find anyone else to take pictures of her. She was too shy to ask anyone, so I took a bunch of pictures of her just in that area. But she's on her own again, so no more selfies. Oh no, oh. What's going on? There's a locked gate on this side, but I can maybe scoot around this side. Just as the other day, when I was riding around on the Brompton in the hot sun, I reached a point where I'd literally just ran out of energy, and I started to feel really lightheaded because of this heat. And it's hitting me again right now. Starting to feel kind of dizzy and lightheaded. How do you get to this place? Come on. I can't get up there. This is blocked off too. But to be honest, I think I'm going to just give up because, well, there it is right there. Get a pretty nice view of it from here. Lift my camera up as high as it'll go. And there it is, the pagoda. But exactly how you get to that pagoda, people are up there, so it is possible. I have no idea how they did it. I gave up on getting any closer than I did to the famous pagoda. I never got to stand right beside it, but I got nice views of it from a moderate distance. And I know a lot about it, about its history, when it was built, what it's called, all that sort of thing. So that's good enough for me. And I'm going to make up for that disappointment with another visit with the Tortoise Liberation Army. I always wonder how easy it is for tortoises to swim, like to float on the surface of the water like that. I mean, are they perfectly buoyant, so it takes no effort for them to stay there? Be nice for them if that were the case. And I'm curious how many of them are sunning themselves on the rocks over here. And here's the place where they like to get on the rocks and sun themselves. This morning, there was a lot of them, and they all went tumbling into the water when I brought out my camera. There aren't that many of them this time, but still kind of interesting. So I think right here, I'm a couple hundred meters away from the main road. And when I get down there, I'm going to try to find bus 203, head back into the city, and that will be my small adventure for this morning. A visit to the Kekloksi temple. Yeah, I enjoyed that quite a bit. Really did. Bus ride to get out here was a small adventure, all on its own. The Tortoise Liberation Army, this has been a hoot. And the temple itself was quite interesting. Very beautiful place. A lot of walking to get around, though. If you're not as into torturing yourself as I appear to be, I'd recommend taking the elevator, the inclined train, or whatever they call it. That would be the more comfortable way to see this place. I would do that. Walking in this sun, that distance, it's too much. All right, thanks for coming along with me to this place, keeping me company. And from me and all the liberated tortoises, I'll see you in the next video.